Today I'm reading from the book Spirit of Homeopathy, book written by Dr. Rajan Shankaran, Mind section and chapter number 21, Mind and Body. Let us talk about the physical symptom first. We show that the mental component can be connected together if we can understand the situation in which the whole state occurs. In the same manner, we can connect the physical general symptoms. By physical general symptoms, we can mean the nervous, endocrine, and immunological alteration. Take for example the state of remedy China. The China state is called for as an adjustment in a person with loss of vital fluid. In such a case, a doctor will advise rest and less intake of the solid with plenty of fluids, especially glucose and saline. China's weakness has just such characteristic desire for rest, decreased appetite, increased thirst with a desire for sour, sweet, and juices. The whole physical state of China, therefore, is an adaptation to the situation which has arisen from the lack of vital fluid. Let us take this example one step further. With lack of vital fluid and weakness of the organism, the China patient also need to eliminate the bacteria that are causing infection and the loss of vital fluid. So two things results. Firstly, there is a diarrhea in an attempt to throw out the organism, and secondly, it is a temperature increase in order to fight the organism better. Now, the fever of China occur in person with a weakened vitality, such as person cannot afford prolonged intense fever because that would cause further loss of fluid and further decrease of vitality. Therefore, the most that this person can afford to do is to produce intermittent fever. Here, there is a sudden high temperature with a shaking chills with last for some times, and then the fever comes down with a crash, and there are a drenching sweat. Then the body is allowed to recover its vitality until another bout of fever comes. This is much more suited to the weak person than is continuous fever. A very robust person, for example, Aconite can afford to produce one big shot of fever, which lasts for a few days and totally finish off the offending organism. But a China person cannot afford this and therefore had periodical aggravation and periodical rise of temperature. What I am trying to put forth is that all the physical general symptoms of the China its sensations, weakness, periodicity, craving, and aversion, etc., can be explained as a response to loss of vital fluid. Now, when we have explained most of the physical component of China as an adaptation response to the physical cause, then we can ask what the connection is between this physical state of China and the remedy's mental state. Can it be that a particular state of mind is connected to particular state of body for no reason whatsoever? Yes, connection between body and mind. Under label connection between body and mind. The China state of the mind is characterized by the indolence with a feeling of persecutions, theorizing, and planning. In some way, this mental state must be connected with the state of body. To my mind, the connection between those two states is that they are most suited to help each other, which means that the state of the weakness of the body with the inability and the it is move is going to most moving is going to help if there is an influence in the mind. Sorry, I missed this. Indolence in the mind will be most help if there is weakness in the body. When you examine a remedy's physical mental state, you will find the connection so strongly that it's difficult to deny. Let us take some more example. One of the best I can give is of a chamomilla. In chamomilla, the physical state comes from the situation in which person has to scream for help. If you want to imagine chamomilla state in the simplest way, think of a baby is whose body diaper pin has been popped by mistake. The baby will then be the chamomilla in a chamomilla state. Very irritable, shouting, shrieking, demanding attention, violent, and so on. The physical pain will be severe, so severe that cutting and violent, and then they are so intense and sharp that they extort cry. So You can see in chamomilla that it is the situation which brings both violent pain in the body which leads to the mental state of violence, shrieking and extreme crossness. Of course, it is obvious that if a pin has pierced the child, you have to remove that pin. Giving chamomilla will not help as there is a cause of that condition. But if you find a person who without a cause in the chamomilla state, then remedy will help. I was examining baby with a small boil uh, on her skin. They were so painful that she was shrieking, shouting, abusive, crying, and demanding. Cut off the legs. Here you can see the chamomilla state with its sharp, intolerable physical pain and the corresponding to the violence of the mind. This is a good example of how the physical state of violent pain goes hand in hand with the violence of mind. Now, under label, body and mind help each other. It seems as if the organism feels the need to produce violent state of mind to combat the stressor. Initially, it produces a violent pain, but if this is insufficient to produce violence of the cough, violence of enough intensity, I again repeat the same under label body and mind help each other. It seems as if the organism feels the need to produce a violent state of mind to combat the stressor. Initially, it produces a violent pain, but if this is insufficient to produce violence of enough intensity in state of being, the mind too is made violent to further intensify the state. Conversely, the body's intense suffering too goes into help the mind produce the requisite state. Means cross and Spanish. Snap is cross and snap is. For example, the Kalkia person is one who require minds that is indolent, who always like in the protective shelter of his home and is unwilling to move out. So physically, he developed the aggravation from the movement, aggravation from the exertion, and he also developed the bulky body which prevent active movement. The insecure state of mind is aggravated by this kind of body state, and this kind of body state encourage a timid, fearful, indolent state of mind. In phosphoricum acidum, the mental state is one of sleepiness, brooding, aversion to business, indifference, hopelessness, despair. Correspondingly, in the body, there is a weakness, lack of energy, and disposition to lie down. It is also interesting to note that the physical constitution of our various remedies, if you examine the constitution of the phosphorus, you often find that he is a lean and fair with long curved eyelashes and graceful walk. In short, a very attractive person physically and mentally, he is one who tries to attract other people in an affection and intimate way. So, it seems to be body that is made for that state of mind. Similarly, Sepia has a mind which is aversion to question and aversion to company. No wonder she tends to develop the black patches on the face and look dried down and unattractive. Baratakara mentally feels inferior that people are laughing at him and that he is incapable and his body is undeveloped and slow. When we understand this broad concept, it is easy to go into more detail, like the type of pain the patient has. In some patients, we are surprised that their condition, which is normally painful, is actually painless. For example, we may see a boy with an inflamed yet painless tonsil. The mental symptom associated with such a condition is very likely to be one of the indifference does not complain. For example, it is in opium. Similarly, when we find tremendous sensitivity of nerves, especially to injury and cuts, then it is the mind too will find the tremendous sensitivity to hurt, rudeness, and especially to insult, like a stress area. It seems that whenever a person meets with a situation in which the vitality has to cope in an adaptive way and the mind alone cannot cope, it will take the help of body. And when the body cannot cope, it will take the help of mind. If the causation is emotional, then the symptom will begin with the mind and the body will be called in a later. But if the condition is physical, then you will have a physical effect first and then later mental condition concomitant appear. When a person has a physical state of anika, then this mental state is anika too. Even if the symptoms are not obvious. If the condition is mainly physical, for example, he has an injury or has a overexerted, then he will develop the physical complaint first and then mental concomitant later. But in the meantime, whatever earlier mental state he had will be suppressed and no prominent mental symptoms will be seen. Only in such a situation are we justified in giving prescriptions of arnica. That is okay. When needed, the mind call the body for a help and vice versa. To take another example, when there is a loss of vital fluid, then you will not see the precipitated filling of the china immediately, but we will see that the whole state has now symptom of physical adaptation. That is what is required at that time. The adaptation is mainly physical at first, since the causalation is physical, but when the physical state remains for some time or it needs more help, then it will drag into the mental state to which it is naturally connected. So later on, you will observe the mental state also of that same remedy. For example, the gelsemium comes from the two areas, either the mind or the body. From the mind, it can rise after the bad news when the person feels frightened and shocked. He is almost paralyzed and tremble from the fear. Or the other situation come from the influenza, and in order to fight the influenza virus, the body react with the weakness, fever, tremulousness, and in case of fright and shock will not be so prominent, but they may come up later in order to help the state of immobility. Likewise, in Chalcedon state of fright, shock, and tremulousness, he may not be totally bedridden and paralyzed if the mental condition is not intense or prolonged. The whole state will be Gelsemium, but in a bad news, mental adaptation will be more prominent, and in the influenza-like symptom, physical adaptation will be more so. But certainly, you will not see in the Gelsemium state any symptom of any other remedy. This connection between body state and mental state is nowadays used in some form of psychotherapy, where for example, the person who feels he is under stress is made to adopt the posture of very tense person. When he adopt the physical posture, then similar feeling are excited in the mind. By the excitement of similar feeling, the person gets better due to the kind of unconscious application of homeopathic principle. Under the label practical utility of this idea. In presenting this idea, I am trying to draw attention to the practical value and utility. So, when you see in the physical state a type of pain, you should ask yourself what kind of mental state can be produced and encouraged by this kind of pain, and you will usually find the same mental state in the person. For example, where there is a tearing pain, then it usually means violence in the mind. Tearing pain in the body can be helped by violence in the mind, and violence in the mind can be helped by the tearing pain in the body. Similarly, if you find burning pain in the body, they will produce anxiety and restlessness in the mind, as in arsenic alb or in the phosphorus or in the sulfur. I am not only talking about remedy selection. It is simple logic that when you see tremors in the body, it usually means an excited mind. So, however much the person tries to convince you that he is very calm, the tremulousness of the body shows you that his mind is excited. Numbness in the body could mean apathy, a ball-like sensation in any part of the body usually means a hysterical state of mind. So, from the physical symptom of the person, if you can see what state of mind can be encouraged by that pain, or what mental state can be produced that kind of physical by the that kind of physical problem, then you will get very good clues as to the mind and the remedy. Of course, I need not tell you that the pain are talking about are non-pathognomic pain, which means characteristic pain. They are the ones that are not common to the pathology. If the peptic ulcer or acidity in the stomach is producing burning, then this is not going to be characteristic of the person. Anyone with acidity will have the burning pain. Or if in case of diabetic peripheral neuropathy, you have burning of soles, burning pain or formications or numbness, then this will not help you to find the nature of PNEI disturbance. But suppose that in a case of skin ulcer or one of boil you can intense burning, then you can take it for a granted that this will be associated with the anxiety in the mind. So from the nature of the physical complaint, one can make a very good guess as to what kind of mental state the person is in. We must understand the principle that the physical and the mental state have to help each other because they are part of the same PNEI response to the particular causative stress factor. The hint is that from the way the patient is describing his complaint, you easily make out his mental state without even asking about it. Now, under label, physical and mental state help each other. As explained above, the physical and mental state help each other. Whenever persons come with a physical complaint, our mind gets diverted to the complaint itself. For example, if it is in the throat pain, we are more interested to find out whatever it is better by hot or cold drinks or worse during the day or night. No doubt we will successfully guess the remedy and identify the characteristic. Example, symptom of the state rather than disease. This hold true of the physical concomitant as well. Yet a far more useful but less used technique is to use the mental state in such a case. In such a case, the mental state comes out very obvious, often without the patient's uh, means unfortunately sometimes the physical symptoms too noticing it. There is no sense of asking the patient to tell you about his mental state. He may not possibly understand your question, but if you we understand one thing, that the physical and mental state are in unity, then whatever mental state is being caused or at that time which exists must be in a tune with the physical state. It is much easier to identify the state of the mind rather than the physical symptom. Whatever the physical state is, we must ask why, where does the complaint or state make the patient react to or feel this way mentally. The sum total of the feeling and reaction in the mind will fit into the pattern which is the existing mental state. The selection of the remedy can be much more easily approached from this angle. Now take the case of a 5-year-old child who was vomiting. His vomiting becomes severe and they become very uneasy, so much so that knock his head against the wall. He wants someone to be with him all the time, and he is holding on to his mother. He is quite restless and roll about in the bed. He must have a physical state which is in time with the which is in tune with his mental state, restlessness, fear, anxiety when alone. The remedy was arsenic album, clear from these references. The same rule can be applied in other cases. So the questions always is, what does this illness make you do the physical action?